is telling me a story. The story is, shorter term, if we break this 15-minute 786, there's the target, okay? For that to happen, you want to see this 50 CCI pop above plus 100 also. There's the target. That's all the swing will owe you, because we don't have the 92.35 786 broken yet. Why might that hold? Because if it breaks, we're asking for a new daily and weekly swing high. Okay? If the market doesn't want to do that yet, it's going to hold there, and what are you going to have? Big Gartley. Okay? You see how that all fits together? Are we running? Yep. Can I start cursing?
Yep.
Okay. These charts, before we open on the ES, these are some Fibonacci Trader tools that you can play with on Forex or anything else. I'll tell you what they are, I'll tell you how we use them. This is the first time I'm showing you a chart that is using more than one time frame. You know, one of the powers of Fibonacci Trader software is that you can put data from more than one time frame on one chart. Okay? I have a couple of things going on this chart. Actually, let me expand it. A couple of things going on this chart that are related to specific time frames, and a couple of things where data from one time frame is moved into another. This is a volume chart. Everyone knows what a volume chart is? Anyone doesn't know what a volume chart is? Okay, I don't. Sorry? Well, not if everyone knows what it is. It's a waste of time when the market's going to open soon. But all it means, yeah, I will, sure. All it means is that it starts to print another bar after a certain number of contracts trade. Okay? So I like volume charts for triggers when possible, because the market will move more in the direction where people are interested in moving it. So it smooths out the triggers. If you're just getting a little bit of a pullback without much of an interest to downside, you don't get a fake short side trigger. Okay? Whereas a minute-based or time-based chart, every time that period of time elapses, it has to print another bar. Okay? So what happens then is all your oscillators start gravitating towards zero, towards the center, if there's no trading. If you have a flat market, any oscillator is going to try to flatten out. Your 34 EMA or any moving average is going to try to flatten out and meet price. But on a volume chart, the indicators only update based upon actual interest in the market. For the ES, I use 4,500, 9,000, and 22.5. We're thinking about upping those a little bit, because these are actually the numbers that we were using during the summer. Okay, and now the market's moving faster. We're probably going to up that. I think we're talking about 6,600 and 13.5 initial for the first two. All right. Yes.
Are you trying to make that equivalent to some time period?
No. That would invalidate the point. Really. In a way, it does. Basically, the 9,000 volume is similar in indicator readings to the 3-minute. Okay, but the point is, you don't want it to be that way all the time. You don't want, if you get a 3-minute trigger head fake.
Approximately.
Yes. A better way to put it is that possibly the 9,000 replaced the 3-minute as far as indicators are concerned. All right. So what do I have running here? Fibonacci Trader runs 3 time frames per chart. So this has data available for 4,500 volume, 9,000 volume, and 22.5 volume. Okay? You can do the same thing on your time-based charts. Like this one says 15-minute, 75, 225, so on. I'm not using other time frames on that chart, though. That's just a 15-minute chart. This one, see the little black bars? That's the 4,500 volume bars. The blue boxes, that's the Fibonacci Trader feature called encapsulation. These icons. The blue boxes are the 9,000 volume bars. You see there are 2 black bars inside every one of these 9,000 volume bars. Why do I do that? Because I'm looking for both of these time frames to trigger, and I want to make sure that I'm getting in towards the end of the 9,000 volume bar. So I'm looking for there to be 2 of these guys inside, 2 of the black bars inside the blue box. 2 black bars inside the, okay, I have to get a rhythm for that, I guess. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. And the CCIs at the bottom are standard 50, 14, 6, but the top CCI is 4,500 volume CCI, and the bottom one is 9,000 volume. Using another program, what you'd have to do is do 2 charts. All right, this saves space, essentially is all it's doing at the moment, but there are a couple of other tricks we're playing here. These are both 34 EMAs, but one of them is on 4,500 volume and one of them is on 9,000. So you can do the same thing in Forex. You could have a 15-minute chart and a 60-minute chart and have EMAs from both time frames on one. These dotted lines, that's a Fibonacci Trader proprietary indicator. You can't get that anywhere else. That's called dynamic trio. Sorry?
How do you find them? How do you use them?
It's in the indicators. It's called dynamic trio. And there's information on the website in the indicator section, also on the Fibonacci Trader website. It basically gives you support and resistance, and it's a Gann-based indicator. Gann. Yeah, Gann believed and documented, and was the basis of a lot of, this is the basis of a lot of Robert Krause's work, that things happen in cycles of 3. Okay, that's why it's called dynamic trio. All right, how exactly is it calculated? I don't think they've invented a good enough torture chamber to get Carlos to tell you. Okay. It works really well though, and basically what we have here, these are on higher time frames. This closer one is the 9,000 volume dynamic trio, and the one that's farther away is the 22.5 that we're using that for trend dynamic trio. So what we actually have on one chart is 4,500 volume data and support and resistance from higher time frames.
You don't have the equivalent 9,000, sorry, yeah, 9,000.
9,000 and 22.5.
Okay, but you don't have the own.
4,500? No, it's not necessary for this.
What's the orange one? I see 3 lines or?
Yeah, no, what you're seeing is that it flipped. I'll show you.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, well, I just want to show you what I'm using it for. Anyway, the best trades are when they're both on one side. See, smooth longs. Okay? Indecision, higher time frame res, shorter time frame support. What happened? Bounce, 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 bounce. Okay. I don't use it for stops. What I use it is to tell me how confident I can be about the trade. All right, like now. Where is it now? We have the 22.5 support holding, the 9,000 resistance holding. So there's a little problem. Yeah. Now, see, it might break the 22.5, and then they'll both be above, validating short side. Short side will be a lot smoother. All right, and okay, we got 5 minutes before we open, so let me see if I can go over a couple of these charts. If I don't cover everything now, we will, you know. Sometimes the ES has a nice open and sometimes it's just dead, so don't worry about it. This one is my 22.5 chart, 22.5 volume. By the way, if it seems like I'm talking about a lot of charts for one security, yes and no. It is and it isn't. They each serve a purpose, and all it takes is a rapid scan of them to understand what's going on. Essentially, I just want the same thing to be happening on all the charts. 22.5 volume chart ES is what I use for the trend. Execution, trend. Okay? Fib support and resistance is here. So all I do is I basically take a look, is this guy saying long or short? Am I getting a short trigger? Do I have a short side pattern? That's all it is. It seems like a lot of charts, but it really isn't. 22.5 with a 34 EMA. Okay, I do not take a short if we're going to smack right into the top of the 34 EMA. I just don't. Some people do. They will take a scalp short and exit at the 34 EMA. I don't have the reflexes for that. Okay, that's all this is, 34 EMA, 5014.6 CCI, and this is another indicator. This one is available in some other packages. Which packages? I can't tell you. I don't know. But this is called the High-Low Activator. And the High-Low Activator, really all that's doing, there is a description, the math for this is on the Fibonacci Trader site. This is basically a moving average. If we're above the price, if price is above, this is giving you a moving average of the lows of each bar. And if we break it, once we break it, it's giving you a moving average of the highs of each bar, just to serve as additional support and resistance. The worst, most troublesome trades on anything you want to run this on is when, in my experience anyway, when the 34 EMA and the High-Low Activator have this kind of gap between them. Because what can happen is you get here we got a short side trigger. See this? It's a 5014 short. Down below the 34 EMA, smacked into the high-low, and the high-low served as support. Okay, and what I always do, and you'll see this today during the day, what I do is I look at the fib And this, I can tell you just by eyeballing it, from that prior low to high, that was 618 or 786. So when the high-low intersects one of my fib levels, I'm like, this is the danger spot. And 9 times out of 10, it is. All right, so that is an important set of information on that chart. Again, this is just longer-term intraday trend. Also, people who want to take a higher time frame trigger and ride it through the day, this is the chart to work off of. Back here on Friday, okay? Right out of the gate, we had a 50-14 short, perfect lineup, high-low activator, 34 EMA. You could have just taken a short on that and ridden it and used the 34 EMA on this chart for the stop placement. Mark it on close order to exit. That happens, that when you have a trend day. You can just take a longer term trade, and then if you don't do that and you ended up taking entries off the shorter term stuff, you look back at the end of the day and say, I took 8 trades and I could have just taken 1 and ridden the whole thing. You know, so that's something, if your money management allows you to work with a larger stop, ride something longer. If you guys want to try these tools on the Forex stuff, for example, you could try adding the high-low activator to the 15-minute chart and see what that looks like. Okay, you could try making a 15-minute chart with a next time frame set to 60, and put a dynamic trio set to next period indicator. You go in, add the indicator, and make sure it's set for next. And you'll have the dynamic trio support or resistance from a higher time frame right on your 15-minute chart. That's the open. So, do you know what my dog would do if that happened? Oh, wow. All right, so let me just update the fib work on the 3-minute chart. So you see what's going on here is we are seeing a bit of a rally. Okay, why am I looking up there to get the tool? Okay, look at this. 3-minute, we have a 786 here too. 1086.75, and it is a very close overlap with our symmetry resistance here. Okay, so all I can really do on this chart is put retracements and extensions on either side. My quick overview of this market right now is that our higher time frame is above the 34 EMA as far as my trend indications. We have an upside pattern on the 15-minute and 45-minute charts. We have one level of symmetry support here on the 3-minute for the short-term guys and gals. I don't have any triggers here on the short term yet, okay? Which may be a good thing because the res may hold. All right, we have some nice resistance too. Support if the res breaks, 1086.75 breaks, we're looking at 1090.25 or so, which would just bring us up to the 15-minute or 45-minute 786. I'm watching here to see if we get long side triggers, is what it amounts to. Right now, the 50 CCI is just flatlined above the 0 line, and I don't have the 14 popping above 0. So I'm basically just looking here for triggers. Remember, again, we're stuck between our 2 dynamic trios, so there's a lot of indecision just this second. If this starts to rally, we'll get long side triggers and break the upside dynamic trio. But you see right now, the market's respecting this. Market's holding on there. So I don't have a trigger yet. That's what it amounts to. Higher time frame, we are between the 786s, so we'll see what happens with that. What's going on over here? Okay, we're breaking symmetry support here. So again, if you're basing your trade on the 15-minute time frame, you're exiting. Your stop got hit, got a nice little profit, almost made it to the 1618 of that swing, and you're looking for a re-entry. That's what it amounts to. If you're a higher time frame trader, you don't have a reason to do that yet. It depends on what you're doing. I would be out of the trade. Okay, I would be out of the trade on the 15-minute. Break with a close of the plus 100 line occurred before the symmetry broke. That was a warning. Remember, that's bold symmetry because it's double. That level held twice, so the fact that it's breaking right now tells us that there is a problem with the rhythm of the trend. Canadian actually still indecisive here. 15-minute is flirting with a long side trigger. 60 is a problem with the 14 below zero. Okay, this guy did not trigger long yet. We were talking all about that possible long here that would take us up to 92.35. The 14 period CCI rejected below zero instead. So there's no trigger here. It's telling us that it's going to respect resistance instead. Okay, this might set up to short side. You want to take an aggressive trade, 50.34 short if it occurs on the 15-minute, because that might lead towards a short on the 60. It's aggressive because we don't have the trigger yet on the 60. All right, but with a 786 hold here, this might need to give us a Gartley. Again, why? Because we're dealing with a major high. So that is leaning me towards the idea that this res is more likely to hold. Chart's telling a story. Any questions? Observations? Requests? Pot roast?
Could you do another, maybe like the YN or the N2 or the PS?
Yeah, sure. I do have, again, my problem is rearranging the charts a little bit because of this, but I'll see.
Just do one. Like
Yeah. Did you have a question back there?
Oh, you asked if you want a pot roast.
Yeah.
Well, I was raising my hand.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. They did a great Oktoberfest at my club. We have the clubhouse at my community. They did a Sauerbraten for Oktoberfest that was incredible.
Your encapsulation.
Yes.
There, two above now.
Yes, exactly. This is, and the 786 is holding. So this may trigger short. All right. If it triggers short, what am I going to have to look for is the idea that our shorter term 786 support might hold too. It's a risk. It's a tight range in here at the moment. Remember, we have the signs that we might get my 786 congestion dance.
Yeah.
You know, and now on the shorter time frame too, our 3-minute 786 is holding. So we're going to have to look at 1082. By the time it triggers, I have to ask myself, do I have enough room to make some money if it gets stuck at 1082? So, yeah, and now if it rallies, we have the dynamic trios against us. But you see what we have here? A 34 EMA support hold on our trend chart. Also setting up for a possible 5034Z long. Okay?
Yeah, on those two trends, the red, the green, and the
Yeah.
what is the parameter you're setting up for those two?
You mean the indicator settings? It's whatever the default is in the program. I think it's 21 period or something.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You just go and get a High-Low Activator.
To set up.
Right, no. And there's one more chart here on the ES. This is the one that was the 377 tick. And now I have it set to 943. All right. This one, I hardly ever use. I just wanted to show you guys the tools. This is really good for short-term traders. Or if you're looking for, if there's a really nice pattern, you want to see if that Gartley is going to trigger or something, you want to get in as early as possible, it's nice to step down to a tick chart. This is a very, very fast chart for this market. This is also using indicators from several time frames, 2 time frames. Okay, this template, some of you may remember, this template itself was designed by Dennis Bowles, but it's based upon indicators from people who are actually valid. Anyway, these are a couple of indicators that first showed up in, and I've modified it too, by the way. These actually first showed up in Fibonacci Trader. Some of these tools are available in other packages too. I added the High-Low Activator on this chart because you can see how well that works together with the 34 EMA. We have a stochastic on here. This is a slow stochastic. It's actually a special stochastic that's in the program listed as the Bowles stochastic. Bowles, B-O-L-Z-E. Okay, it's based on Blau's work, William Blau's work. It's just a very special stochastic that's actually calculated twice. It's smoothed. All right, I think we.
Don't you have some, we can go on, but don't you use special numbers? So what are the numbers you put into that box when you're trying to set it up?
This actually, for this chart,
Both of them. No. When you use the indicators, each one has, you can put any range of numbers.
I'm using the default. That's what I was asked over here.
Automatic, you just
Yes,
put it on.
just click it on.
The
Yeah,
same one with the high-low?
yeah, yes. Just put it on.
Whatever you see there.
Right, exactly. It's just the default. Yeah, you can change them if you want, but I haven't found the need.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. All right, we're breaking to upside here, it looks like. See, the problem here with the upside breakout, again, 1272 target is overlapping our 15-minute 786. So how far is this thing actually going to go? You know, if you took a long, let's see, we have the 5034Z on the 22.5 with the 34 EMA support hold. I just want to see what my trigger charts are doing. Yeah, I had long side triggers into this res. You know, it's very, very iffy, and you'd have to run this with a very, very tight stop. You know, so that's what we were doing here. You have to put new symmetry support in, and that's where the stop would be. Watch. 3-minute chart, high to low, from high, okay? So you'd have your stop right under here. That's good risk reward, because if the trade follows through, you're looking at 1090, but you can have a stop at 1085.25, 2-tick break. 2-tick, you know, 2-tick below that, that's a stop just a point away. It's no big deal. Okay. Yes?
How do you handle the gap there?
How do I handle it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't care about this gap too much, because what's more important to me is that we're between these 786s. If it were a big gap, what really freaks me out is a gap, you know, like this one, you know, where we're taking out prior swing lows and stuff. Or if we gapped up right now, I'd be freaking a little bit. By freaking, what I mean is I'd be like, okay, is the upside momentum going to maintain?
Yeah.
You know,
There's a tendency to fill the gap.
there is a tendency to fill a gap, but I don't sit back and wait for that to happen, because if I did that, there would have been a heck of a lot of longs I missed during this rally. Yeah, but it can keep going. It can keep going. One way I handle that, you know, this is pretty apparent if you think about it. If we gapped up and broke that 1090, then I'd be like, I don't care that there's a gap, because we broke the 786 and I'm looking at 1097.
Like, you know, I think some individual stocks, they don't want a gap and they don't fill it. They just keep going.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I rely on the fib. For that, because if we gapped above 1090, I still have range to 1097. What happens though is sometimes you get the gap, and we gap up and open right at that extension, and that's a real pain in the butt, because then you missed that move essentially, because it happened overnight. You missed that move, and now you have to go, okay, all the momentum charts are saying it has more upside possibility, but we're already extended at the target, you know, so that's where it becomes iffy. On a pullback, you get even a minor pullback, I look for short-term long side triggers still, because if it really is going to respect that extension and fall, you're not going to get another set of triggers.
What's one? That's a 15-minute chart?
Sorry?
That's a 15-minute chart?
This is a 15-minute.
What if you looked at a higher time, like a 60-minute chart, to see if there's more resistance?
Well, that's why I have the 45 in place. In this case, it happens to be the same.
Okay.
Because we're at the daily extreme.
I'm sorry, I just lost a little bit.
I'm sorry, no, if there's anything I'm missing, ask me. Okay, by the way, this is trailing up by itself, the symmetry, so move that stop up a little bit. Get to break even as soon as possible on this one, obviously. You know, I'm trying to see where the entry would have been, back here. Entry would have been some...
Because the first initial move was down, and then it just...
Yeah, but I had no trigger.
Countered that, and now it's going straight up.
Yeah, I had no trigger to short side.
I see.
Okay, so let's see, this was about, entry was about, I have to say, right, maybe 1085.75, so we'd be at break even already.
Yeah.
You know, let me find the exact, I don't want to fudge that.
The 50 went straight through 0 is now dead plus.
Yeah, but I needed the 14 to cross here.
Yeah.
Low, no, more like 1086.50, to be honest. Yeah, so, you know, again, that's okay, because you can have it stop now at 1085.50. So you can still, even if you're playing it not at break even yet, you only have a 2-tick risk at this point.
That's great, because usually you run, you know, an 8-tick and you're...
That's what my crash stop, when I hit my bracket trader to get in, would be 8 ticks.
Yeah.
But as soon as I had the symmetry support, why am I going to risk 8 ticks?
I start off with a 20-tick...
Yeah, that's how I did it too. Yeah, that's how I did it, but you want to tighten it up. All right, let me just finish on the Bulls chart so you guys see these tools and how they're interrelated. Because again, this is something, and a lot of people use this on Forex. There is a template. This you can download as a template. This chart is available as an installer. Carlos has it, I have it. If you wanted to download it, it'll just reproduce this chart, essentially. What we have on this chart is, it's a tick chart in this case. It's set to 943 ticks. A couple of weeks ago it was 377, but they started sending out more ticks from the exchange. So this is set to 943. And you're seeing the bars, you know what, everyone knows what a tick chart is, obviously. It's very similar to a volume chart, but not exactly. Thanks. The main indicators on this chart, there's a stochastic. As I said, it's called the Bull stochastic. It's based on Blau's work, smooth stochastic. And the stuff you're seeing in the background, those boxes and dots, that's a very powerful indicator that a lot of people love. I like to look at it a little bit, but it doesn't speak to me. It's called the W. Blau ergodic candlestick oscillator. We just call it the echo. We just call it the echo, okay? Yeah, and to my mind, it's similar to a MACD histogram. One of the powerful things about it is when it shows divergences is nice, but that's not what's going on this chart. Okay, this looks like it's going to fail. Let's see.
786 on the NQs as held.
Okay, yeah, well, here, see, we're still between them here.
Lower time frame, 3 minutes.
Okay, great. I don't trade the NQ. I don't like it. What's going on this chart that's interesting is that you see these red bars. This chart is set up, and you can do this with any indicators on Fibonacci Trader. This chart is set up to factor in the echo pattern on the higher time frame and the stochastic pattern on the shorter time frame. Basically, what this chart is saying, we'll just make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Okay, what this chart does, here's a good trade on it on Friday. It will paint red bars. Now I'm at the open. It'll paint red bars when the echo is below 0, meaning the next time frame trend is to the short side and the stochastic gets too overbought. Think about the logic of that. It's saying the higher time frame is saying down, and the shorter time frame is saying we had a corrective bounce and it should go short again. Okay? This is just one example. You can create your own templates at Fibonacci Trader with your favorite indicators too. But this is what this is doing, and what the rule is, the red bars here, you go short when the red bars finish painting and the low of the last red bar is exceeded, is taken out. All that is the stochastic crossing back below overbought. Okay? And you also have to have some resistance right there. Symmetry, 618, 786, you know, basically our cluster stuff. This is good for a real short-term entry, is what it amounts to. Okay? If instead, like this morning, it was painting red bars, the low of the last red bar was not exceeded. The high was taken out. It invalidates the trade. That's not a trade you would take. Again, this is good for a real short-term entry. The only time I really look at it is when, you know, like if we have a perfect Gartley pattern, and I look at my other indicators, we're right at the Gartley support, I look at my other indicators, and they're setting up long, but they haven't triggered yet, and I want to get in faster. I'll just look to see if this is possibly kicking off a trigger as well. You know, so that's what I use it for. But like I said, this is something you can play with. If you want this template, and I added my 50-14-6 down here too. If you want to play with this template, you can write to support at Fibonacci Trader. Carlos will give you a link. Drop me a note. I'll give you the link to it. I have it on my site available for installation as well. And you can take this and you can put it on 3-minute, 15-minute Forex chart. In other words, you could or 15-minute, 45-minute, or 15-minute, 60-minute. In other words, you create a Fibonacci Trader chart that has own time frame. The first time frame, 15-minute. The next time frame, 45-minute or 60. You want to keep those multiples of 3 to 5 to keep the Gann principle. In other words, 15-minute own, 45 next would be ideal. And then you stick this template on it, and it'll give you those nice bars on the Forex chart as well. Okay? Meanwhile, our ES in general is a total mess at the moment.
Spell Blau's.
Blau is B-L-A-U. And Linda has a copy of his book. Okay, I hit the wrong thing. Linda has.
The greatest reads in that book is very short and gives you some really nice indicators.
Yeah, and Linda doesn't carry the book anymore, but you can get it at Amazon. Okay, it looks like we're breaking to downside here. I want to see a break of this 34 EMA on the 20. Yeah, I want to see. Yeah, if you go into the room with Linda, she'll just tell her I want to see the Blau book, and that way you'll see his name and everything and what's in the book. All right, I don't have short side triggers yet. We're still holding the 34 EMA. This is just basically a mess right now. We're holding support still on the 3 minute. Maybe we got our, let's see what the high was here. Anyway, I wanted to cover what's on those charts so we can get back to talking about the actual trades without being like, what the heck is all that stuff? 1087.75. I just want to see where that stop was, because I think this was a small loss, probably. Yeah, like a 2-tick loss. All right, that's no big deal. Meanwhile, we can expect some chop until we see some kind of 786 break. Yeah, let's take a look at something. Let me see if I can find my TF chart just to see what the other markets are doing. And I'm sorry, I don't have an NQ in here, but you have yours. Yeah.
I'm running it over here.
Yeah, yeah. And your work was fine on it.
You used to do the Russell quite a bit.
Yes, I used to trade the, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it too.
Okay, yeah, because it seems okay. It's got more volume.
Yeah, but you know what I need to do? I need to optimize my volume-based triggers, which we're running in the chat room. And again, it's time to evaluate some of those triggers because they were set for summertime for the most part. And the Russell is coming back with force because it was, you know, we're talking about a security that changed exchanges. And that used to be a big moneymaker for me. The Russell was you know, the Russell basically bought my house. Okay, and what happened was there was a little thing between the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and the new exchange, ICE, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, whatever it is. And, well, no, I wish they would blow up already, but they ended up buying that security from the CME, and they had all kinds of trouble at first. They were, the new exchange wasn't ready to really trade properly. There were a lot of busted trades. And the volume went way down on it, and it became really untradeable for months. So we had to back away from it. And now we're watching it. Some of the people, a couple of people in my chat room are trading it successfully. And all I need to do is to wait until I feel comfortable with the volume figures that I want for my triggers. So we have, this is the Russell right now, and it's the same thing. Possible Gartley. But right now we're just between these 786s and straddling the 34 EMA. What this tells you is you're better off going to one of those websites that has virtual bubble paper to pop, you know. Because ask RG to post a picture or something, news of the weird, you know, something like that, because you're better off saving your money instead of getting into an aggressive trade that can come back in your face. All right, let's take a look at our Forex too. And of course, if we had to, you know, if we wanted to monitor that chart, what I could do is put it back up and click on those 786s and tell the program to give me an alarm when one of them is broken. You know, that you can do that too. You can go and read the paper, and you can go read the paper online and say, I don't want to take a trade until I see a 786 break. So if you right-click on that line, it'll offer to set an alarm on it. You know. All right, we got the rally here now on the Canadian, and we have the long side triggers. Remember, this was iffy. Now it's being joined by the 60-minute. This guy just triggering short here, iffy here. I would jump on this short, though, as soon as we actually have a trigger on the 15, because this can go all the way down into our Gartley support. I think that's likely, because, again, we're working off the daily high. Messy on the GBP, very messy. As a matter of fact, there's some sim resistance there at this point that isn't on the chart. This was one of my biggest fears, and I'm trying to get over it because I'm hoping that things turn around on these markets. But one of the biggest problems sometimes when you do these live workshops and you have one trading day is that it turns out to be a sucky trading day and that there's nothing really to show. But the day is still young. The last workshop we did, we had several trading days just to be able to overcome that issue in case. I just want to keep track of the res here. See, low to high with the expansion tool projected from low. And you see that's overlapping our 786 precisely. So we have resistance situation a little higher up. CCI is all within the 100 lines. If you took a short here, you would really have to watch the support. It's just really messy. Anything look like it's trending and smooth on a different Forex pair?
Pound yen.
Pound yen? Let me see. it doesn't look that exciting this minute, but yeah, you could get a reject of the zero line to upside here on the 60-minute chart. It's possible. But it's in a narrow range. That seems to be the theme of the day so far.
Yes, and then Q 3 minutes, 76s or
Well, not on the ES yet. Not the one I'm looking at. That's a 1082.37. We have short side triggers on the short-term ES chart.
You have that one live? Is that live?
There, 1082.37. So 1082.50.
Why is about the trigger short? Not hit.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm kind of, I'm torn between looking around at other things and not flicking through many charts and missing things on the ones we're looking at, So we have the Canadian long, and what you have to watch there, already exceeding the initial target, what you have to watch there would be the 786 up here. 10.411. All right, and what I don't like is, in general, is the fact that these targets and resistance and support points are as close as they would ordinarily be on a 3-minute chart, and we're seeing them on the 15 and the 60. Why? Because the swings are so small. The swings are tightening up. Does anyone see anything on these charts that they would take as a trade, based upon price pattern or anything you're using? You all got your computers on. You're probably looking at your own stuff.
786 is gone.
On what?
On the 3 minutes?
No, it's not. It's right there. It's a 1082.37. You might be using a different swing. You're probably using this low to high.
I have used that low that you have on the left.
Here.
So do you want on the top?
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I have 1082.37 unless I drew it wrong.
All right.
Yep. That looks right to me. I'll check it. Yeah, it's 1082.37.
I have on my YM, it's about to trigger short, it's at 99.45, but I got a 786 at 99.34, 99.
Okay, well, unfortunately we can't all look at that at the moment, so.
What I'm
yeah.
asking is only about,
Let me look at your chart. And let me look at your chart to see what's.
I was on the edge.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Sorry about that.
we're right here, we're about to trigger 90, but I got a couple 786s here.
What time frame is this?
This is 3 minutes?
Okay, I would need to see the other time frames to see what the higher time frame is doing.
Okay.
At this point, I'd have a problem with it. You also have some symmetry support, obviously, because you have, this high to low.
Okay.
You have an upside pattern. So it's a little iffy. All right, we have short-term short side triggers here, and we're below the higher time frame 34 EMA as well. The high-low activator, you see, look at this, by the way. Look, guys, take a look at this for a second. High-low activator, 1083.64. In the chat room and in my own trading, I would have that 618 on the 3-minute bolded because these guys are overlapping. Okay, so you can take the short. I had the short. The short came in a couple, like a point ago, but this would be the big danger spot. Another sign of danger. Another sign of danger on the 3-minute chart. There's no symmetry. The chart itself is telling us that there's no rhythm to the motion at the moment. All right? So anything you take right now is without benefit of working with an existing rhythm and pattern. What would have to happen on the 3-minute chart here for me to have symmetry in one direction or the other? Anyone? How would I get symmetry on this chart?
Well, you bounce.
Yeah, bounce off the 78.
In order to get symmetry, you need to have a higher high or a lower low. So if I'm going to get symmetry resistance, I have to take out that prior swing low. Then I could go low to high from the new low. The 3-minute pattern would be to downside. If I'm going to get symmetry support, I have to take out the prior high. Then I could go high to low from new high. You must go look back at the rules of symmetry, and you'll see a new high, a higher high, or a lower low must be present. Right now we're inside the prior 3-minute swing. That's why there's no symmetry. Okay? Could you do me a big favor? Phone calls outside? Thank you. Yeah, it's extremely distracting to probably everyone here. Yeah, so that's the deal here. Now it looks like we're breaking down here. We haven't broken the high-low activator support yet, but you're valid in being short here if you're willing to take a trade without symmetry. What I would do is put in very short-term symmetry resistance. Baby swing here. So at least you have something to put a stop behind. You see how this is a little bounce, low to high? The way I spot that is I pop over to the tick chart. That's this low to high. On the tick chart, it's perfectly valid, low to high. So I just correspond that over here so we don't have to look at too many charts for the symmetry.
But you're
All right.
looking for a 78 bounce, right?
I don't know. I'm looking to see what's going to happen. I have my triggers short.
Yeah.
So what I need is the 786 to break.
Right.
Okay? If it bounces, I got to bail.
Right. I got you.
What I would do for, I have a stop at 1085, and I would look over here also at my minus 100 line on the 4500 volume chart. I want that to stay below minus 100. I want to see the 9,000 volume 50cc, I get below minus 100 as well. The fact that it isn't yet is a little heads up, a little danger sign. We need to keep the stop as tight as possible here. All right? Odds are, my day-to-day trading, to be honest with you, I probably would not have taken the short. I'm talking about the short now because we do have the triggers for it, and I wanted to talk about the trade management. But the odds are that I would not take this short because we have no symmetry on the 3-minute chart. We have no nearby symmetry on the 15. We have no nearby symmetry on the 45, support or resistance. So the market may be flipping the short side. If it is, I'll have plenty of room later on after I break below the 786, make a new swing low and have symmetry resistance. Once the market shows me that it has a rhythm. Yes, sir?
You're taking your trade on the volume chart or on the 3-minute chart?
I'm taking the trigger on the volume chart.
Always?
Yes. It's not, I call it icing on the cake when it's also triggered on the time-based chart. I look at the CCIs on the higher time frame, like the 45-minute, to help a little bit with directionality. See what happened here on Friday? Couldn't break above plus 100 again. All right, so it's telling me something about trend, strength of trend. Okay, so that's, I use it for that, but I try to not use it for the triggers. Some of the people I work with do not like the volume charts. They think it's too much to look at. They move too fast, whatever. So that's fine. They can use the the time-based. There's no problem with running the time-based. We're looking at the time-based, using the CCIs, but I'll tell you what happens very often in the index charts is that you end up with the trigger a little later, when you're closer to the stuff that you're worried about. These guys. Yeah, this is...
Mark, okay. A lot of guys tell you wait the half hour.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing. I'm waiting for the market to tell me something.
Yeah.
At this point, if you had taken this short, by the way, notice that the symmetry is maintaining. All right, waiting for the market to tell me something. Sometimes that happens out of the gate. Sometimes it doesn't. That ES crown I showed you, the 15-minute crown, that was out of the gate. I mean, it did the spike at the open and fell.
Yeah.
But we were set up the day before with the pattern, to see follow through. We were frankly, Friday set us up with a total lack of pattern. So we have nothing to play off against. The problem with the currencies in a lot of cases is that we're working off of daily extremes, too. We have that Canadian support. We have a new high in the Aussie. We have the Gartley arguing whether it's going to play out or not on the daily GBP. So that's why we're stuck here a little bit looking for, is the new direction going to establish, or maintain. The only thing working right now would be the Canadian long, and we know that's really, really counter trend still on the daily. I'm still going to this computer, it's over here. Yeah. And you see we're getting held up here at intervening resistance. Look at the 15-minute 100 line failing to break. So at the very least, you'd be tightening a stop here. At the very least. Basically these are all turning into scalpy nothings. And it's because the time frames are not, like I said, the higher time frame stuff is not that happy. Okay? Getting additional, now I might have a re-entry on the GBP though. Again, it all depends on your time frame. If you were taking the trade, if you took the trade off the 60-minute trigger earlier, there was never a reason to exit. But I'm talking to you guys, I'm trying to talk to you guys about trade management too. You know, so I'm looking at some of the shorter time frame stuff. This is setting the did trigger long again. That's a 5034Z. Okay, so we have the 5034, now we have a 5034Z. Got to watch the 786, watch for a break above plus 100, and so on. Okay. Brian, yeah, again with Brian.
34Z, what is mainly the difference?
5034 is a cross, the 50 crossing the 0 line. The Z, it comes back to test, rejects the 0 line. Look at the diagrams in the manual.
Okay.
We'll show you. It's right in there. I can find them for you if you'd like.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, see what happened to our short on the ES? It fell apart. Fell apart. Yeah, the short fell apart. You know, like I said, now what I have to do, as I'm telling you, with a lack of symmetry, you're in chop. And so what we have to do is go high to low and watch out for a 786 congestion dance. Tightening, tightening, tightening. We're in a coil. See that? You can take a trend line and do that. We're in a coil. Even down to the 3-minute chart. We need a 786 break in order to establish.
34 too.
Yeah, crisscrosses the 34. Also our CCIs are back within the 100 lines. As soon as you see this, lack of symmetry, flat line 34 EMA, stuck between support and resistance, 786s on both sides. Learn how to crack your knuckles, play the harmonica. I don't care what you're trading. It's not just on the ES. It's anywhere. You know, on anything, any time frame.
I just want to see if it bounces off the upper 7.
Yeah. It may. It very well may. What I have to do in my own trading is, if it broke, I would need to see a break of the prior swing high. Why? Why do I need a break of the prior swing high?
Resistance.
New symmetry.
New symmetry, thank you.
I'm sorry.
High to low from the new high. I need a new high or a new low, or there's lack of directionality. Did someone just call me Paolo? Okay. All right, so our Canadian thing is it ain't happening, and there was your warning. 15-minute 50 CCI failed to penetrate above plus 100. Okay. This is why I stopped. I used to have Forex up a lot in the chat room, and I took it down for a while because what would happen often is it would really set up and trade well overnight, and then during my regular trading hours it would be flat, and I would be spending a lot of time commenting on it and trying to help people out with trades that they shouldn't be taking. You know, that's sometimes. Other times when you have a news day, you know, when you have 8:30 news, 8:30 Eastern Time news, then you have some motion. You know, an economic report. It's just.
I'm totally still during those times.
Yeah, but it gives you a trend for the rest of the day. Yeah, it sets things off as it's a catalyst. Okay. Oh, it's 10 o'clock already.
Have you ever experimented with the HMO?
HMO? Oh, Heiken-Ashley candles. Yeah, I did. Or someone used to call them Hank and Ashley. Hank and Ashley. Yeah, that was Woody. Hank and Ashley. Yeah, yeah, they're cute. They're cute. It depends on what, you know. They smooth the trend. So do indicators. You know, again, if it calls to you, if it's something that helps you to read it, it's good. All right, so I need a 786 break on my ES. I would just be, you know, yammering about something else at the moment. And we'll see. Aussie actually did not follow through the short side there. See this? 50 CCI held the 0 line. That's why I said if that triggers and we're at the end of the bar on that and actually triggers, it's not. It's very unclear what it wants to do here. Target now would be 92.38, which would jeopardize. You need this guy to break to tell you that that guy might break. Okay? Because here, 92.18, 786, if it breaks, the target is 92.38, which is right above that 786 on the 60-minute chart. Okay? So if there's going to be a struggle, it's going to be there. So what do we do in a case like that? Go over here and hit emphasize. Okay? If that breaks, you could get a long side trigger there. And I would take that. I would take that because it's going to invalidate the idea of the Gartley on the Aussie. Okay? I would take that as long as it's not skyrocketing right to the target, getting towards the end of the bar, and so on. So, and look what's happening on the ES. See that? That's why I call it the 786 congestion dance.
For once, the NQ is not following your ES injection.
Good.
It's gone up to, you trace 38% from the low, and it's held holding 38, so now it's looking to see if it wants to come back down.
Let me see how far. All right.
This is the new.
Yeah, oh, you got some symmetry resistance there too. You can, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
I want to see where this came down, you know, it came down by, I'm watching yours and watching my Jupiter line, come right down to my Jupiter. That's when I turned around and it is.
Ah, okay.
Is this close to give us a trade trigger to the down?
Yes, that could be that would be a minus 100 line bounce. Yep.
Huh?
Minus 100 line bounce.
Is this here, if I answer this here, on your,
Okay, you know what? Let's do that a little bit later because I will announce the time when I can go around to that.
To do is for the 6 to come back down to,
Yes.
to the below
Zero. Okay. All right. What do you say we take a little break and come back and we all go outside for a minute and chant pattern, 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 just to have something smooth set up. Yeah. Let's take a little 10-minute break. Yeah, so there's a webinar on there, and that does have the definition of the difference between a standard ABCD and a Gartley and all that stuff. Also, before we jump back into this, you can see we broke out finally of our dance. Wow. But before I jump back into this, I just want to point out, I was talking about some hypothetical trades that, like I said, I probably would not have taken. Assuming I did take them, if I had those little jitters in both directions, in other words, I had the first one was a stop out, 2-tick loss. The second one, maybe I made 2-tick profit before it. You know, I don't even know. Maybe let's assume we're at break even. But if I have those failed trades in both directions, I'm out. I'm stopping until I get a break, a clear break, and a clear trend setting up. And that's what we have now. We'll go over here first because I want to update the work on this. We took out the 786 here. Okay.
Is it 3 minutes?
That's the 3-minute. Okay. So I'm just going to do my control click and delete it. And what's more important than taking that out to me is the fact that we now have symmetry support. Okay, high to low from new high to low from new high for a slightly weaker version here. And even this one, high to low from new high. Okay? On a pullback at this point, we also have our CCIs above plus 100. 4,500 is here. Now we can look for a long side trigger, a plus 100 line bounce. Okay, and that is the best trigger after you break out of congestion. If you can get a plus 100 line bounce, it confirms that you've established directionality. And it's going to be maintained because a plus 100 line bounce is going to give you a new swing high. So it's telling you it's going to keep going. And we know that we're looking at 1090, it says 40 here as a target, initial target. 1090.40, you have to round it down, it's the 1090.25, puts us at a place that isn't breaking the higher time frame, 786 yet. So I would actually prefer, first of all, if it triggered this second, which it's doing on the 4,500 but not the 9,000. I want 2 triggers here. It's just flirting with it. That has the potential to just be basically a scalp up to 1090, 1090.25. Okay, that's all right, but what I really like to see in a case like this would be more of a pullback first and a long side trigger, so there's room to make more profit up to the 1090. Okay, or a break of the 1090 and a pullback. So just be prepared in a case like this when you're coming up to, especially overlaps. We have a target here, okay, and that overlaps this major resistance. As long as that resistance is in place, it still could Gartley, okay? So that level is up here, and when you have that kind of overlap, you want to be prepared for it to possibly stop there. So that's basically what I'm trying to say with that. So we have long side triggers here. Just be ready to need to bail essentially at the target. Bless you. You're welcome. These smaller targets, might be a spot where you have to where you should actually lift your stop up a little bit. These little targets are from today's current high to low. This is from the larger swing, the 1090-40. Okay? So what I usually do then is I take, there we go, getting some action here. Take the larger one and bold it, because that way it tells you that's the one you're aiming for.
Is that your alarm that went off?
No, I don't have anything making any noise here right now. Okay?
Just quite excited.
Yeah.
We're the guilty ones.
And now we have, again, we have symmetry support here. If you want a tighter stop, you have a little baby symmetry here, high to low. Again, I saw that because I'm looking at the tick chart. That would be the equivalent of looking at a 3-minute chart on the currencies, all right? So if you wanted to have a tighter stop, you could take it here, high to low from this high, and that is really good for a trade that might be scalpy on the ES to be able to have your stop, where are we now? 1089.50. Numbers printing funny. 1089.50. So to have the stop, a few ticks away, you'd have it at 88.75. All right, and you have to consider the idea that you might get a reaction at the 786 and 1272 combination. So you might get a reaction. You decide, do I want to take the profit as a quickie? Do I want to hold it? What I would do is take one contract off, part of the position, partial position off, hold the balance with a stop tight under the symmetry support, and if it pulls back and triggers long again, add the position back in. Okay? That's how I would do it. This is potent up here, potent combination. We have the triggers, you can see plus 100 line bounces. This guy, the 9,000 volume, you can see that this might happen occasionally, is that you get the touch of the plus 100 line. In intra-bar, the 6 period pulled down below 0, and then before the bar could print, it was back above 0. So that's one reason why I like working with live charts when I'm showing this stuff, because if I showed you this chart tomorrow, it would look like that never triggered. Okay. Over on the currencies, you see this? I said if that long happens, let's take it. Okay? Because now we're at the target and breaking the 60-minute 786 res as well. So here was your trigger, 5014. Now we have a 5034Z on the 60. That's using the 2 time frames together. This was a more reliable trigger because this was also setting up to trigger the next higher time frame.
And to do similar, you can actually take the CCI from one of the time frame and put it on the chart you're working.
Yes, you can. You can, just like I have it. Yes, the question was, can we take the 2 CCI? I'm just repeating so everyone else can hear. Can I take the 2 CCIs from 2 time frames and put them on one chart with Fibonacci Trader? Yes, you can. Okay. So let's just update our work here too. One thing I get crazy about, I guess it's a flaw in a way, is if I were on the other side of the room and I saw a level break, I'd have to run over here to erase it because I don't like it when the work isn't done correctly. So I just want to update this and get the most valid recent support. Okay, and let's bold our new 786. Now, if anyone has any questions about the fib work and what I'm doing with this stuff at this point, but by all means, interrupt me when I'm updating the charts and I will tell you which tool it is, why I'm using a certain swing, whatever. Again, same idea though, like earlier, like I said, if I get a stop out or a 2-tick or 2-pip profit on an attempted trade and it comes back in my face, I am over trying to trade that until it breaks out. What the heck is going on the Canadian? What I'm saying is that's what that chart is telling me. It doesn't know what the heck it wants to do right now. So it's not breaking out. We're inside the prior swing. Okay? Yeah, exactly. And why? Because if we go back to the daily, you'll see again we're reacting from a major target. And it doesn't know, the market has not decided, the mass psychology has not established whether or not it wants to establish a new uptrend and maintain it, or if it's going to still break through that downside target. Okay? And this go around, remember I said we might get a re-entry on the GBP if we were trading on 15-minute? We certainly did. Okay? You got a 5034Z there. Now we're up to this target cluster that also is overlapping our 786 and symmetry resistance on the 60-minute. So you have to ask yourself, when that trigger came in, is it worth it to me if it stops there? That's what you have to ask yourself. You don't know if it's going to stop there. If we had a plus 100 line bounce trigger on the 60-minute, it would be a no-brainer to take it, because that would be saying you're going to make a new swing high. But we didn't have a plus 100 line bounce trigger. We had a 0 line base trigger, which says it's going up, but it doesn't promise you a new swing high. So in the face of a trigger down here, let's say 63.20, 63.25, you have to say, do I want to risk on a 15-minute base trigger, do I want to risk the idea that I might only make 15 pips? You know, because it might stop there, which is where it stopped at the moment. So that's the risk-reward factor that you need to factor in with this stuff. We have overlapping targets, we have resistance here. That might be it for the trade. So the triggers are there. It's up to you to decide if it was a trade worth taking, based on your money management. RES, look what's happening at the moment. You see? Target is holding. So is the symmetry support. All right, so this is why I use that strategy, half off.
How much? Two time frames you can choose in the Canadian dollar, whatever.
60 minute and 15.
60 and 15.
Yes. And again, that's up to you as far as your comfortable time frames. All right, you want to have, though, the execution time frame and the trend time frame to be approximately anywhere between 3 and 5 times. So if your execution time frame is 15 minutes, you want to have 45 minutes to 75 as your trend time frame. Okay, I saw, yes.
Can you please show us where these two 786s came from again in the S&P minute this morning, the ones that they're bouncing?
On here?
Yes, I
Yeah, or at least
these ones.
the 15? The 15-minute chart up here? Yeah, it's like this. Let me use a trend line for that. If I can find where my trend lines move to. Here we go. The upper one is from this high to low. Okay, that's the one that's here. The lower one is from this low to high. Okay? Now, if we get a pullback, what would be ideal here would be to get another 100-line bounce, long side trigger, because a 100-line bounce does what? Implies a new swing high. So if we can imply a new swing high, it means we're going to break our current target in 786 resistance. All right? That's why if we lose the plus 100 lines, that's how I call it, if it breaks, particularly the 9,000 volume, like I said, that corresponds to the 3-minute chart. If we lose that 100 line, it's time to bail on the balance of the trade. We'd probably hit our stop first anyway. Because if we lose the plus 100 line, it's telling us we're not due for a new swing high quite yet.
Mark?
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
100 line bounce, but not necessarily on that particular chart. Is that what you're saying?
Right, well, I'm looking at my volume charts for the triggers.
Okay.
On the ES, I like
The CCI on the chart that you were on before, up top left.
here, top left.
You're ignoring the CCI.
Yeah, I don't even really look at the 15-minute CCI. I have it up because some of the people in my chat room like to use it. There's some, like the 15-minute CCI, it kind of corresponds to the 22.5 in a way. I use the 22.5 CCI for that kind of trend directionality, but there are some folks that I work with who they don't like the volume charts. Because they think it moves too fast. I think it moves more accurately. So if they're going to ask me a question about the 15-minute CCI, I want to know where it is. So that's why I have it up. Like I said, I do like the 45-minute for trend. Look at what's happening on the 45-minute right now. We're coming up and touching the underside of the plus 100 line. So what that's saying to me is I really need a shorter-term plus 100 line bounce to break all this res, including the 45-minute plus 100 line, because this could still do this. Yes?
In your work, in the 3-minute chart, would you use the second swing of the low to the current high?
Here?
As a second swing of the lower swing.
This one.
One more.
This one?
From here to the current high?
I did. That's where this stuff is coming from.
Oh
wait, up. No, that's actually up here. Yeah.
You ignore the next, the high that was there before, correct?
Wait a sec. That's this current
Correct.
stop is from here.
Correct.
You can run this one.
You can?
Sure. As a matter of fact, that can give you a good guide because, yeah, I would be doing that. The thing is, right now I'm trying to keep it a little less cluttered. But I would do that. First of all, I do it because it's today's low. The other reason I do it, and this, you know, this is my stuff on it, my way of using this. I'd go low to high because now we have a 618 from the larger swing and a 786 overlapping, okay? What this tells me is if this 786 breaks, we're aiming for this target, so it implies a break of the next 786 as well. This is what we call, the term I made up for this is a 786 cascade. And
But I'm sorry, just to finish the question, but you would not use from the low to the prior high that was there before?
no, absolutely not.
No, the low that we have there?
To here?
Correct.
No, it's invalidated completely. It's meaningless because we have a higher high. Okay, you're welcome.
No, we don't need that.
Right, yeah. That's the thing I was talking about where people say they use the prior swings, and I'm like, why? You know, there's not enough levels as it is doing it correctly. Yeah. Now, the thing is, let me explain for a second about the 786 cascade, because this applies to everything, any security, any time frame. Remember, if you break a 786, it implies you're going to follow through to the corresponding target. Look, by the way, plus 100 line bounce triggers, and here we go, hopefully. 786 cascade means if you break this 786, you're aiming to this target, okay? So what's in the way? The next 786. It implies, the closer 786 break implies that the next one is going to break as well. So that means if that one breaks, you're actually aiming for this target. That's why I call it a cascade, because if your first 786 break aims to a target on the other side of a 786, that means the more important one is the closer one. That's where the struggle will be fought out if this does not want to start to plummet. Does everyone get that concept? I know it's a little bit, you know, you got to wrap your head around it a little bit, and I guarantee you will not see that in any book or anything. That's something I quantified. But that's the deal. That's the one thing I feel entitled to actually give a name to myself. Because what you will see is this can start to plummet, and for some reason it'll just stop right here. Because if it broke here, you're not just talking about this target, you're talking about this target. And if there's another 786 we can find in here and that breaks, we're talking about this target, and so on and so forth. So when you see those nested 786s, it's a big heads up that the struggle is going to be at the first one. We broke our 786 res. No more Gartley possibility on the res. Okay, so basically what I would have had to have done on this trade, I would have had the half off at the target, pull back, our stop was not hit. Remember, we had the stop 2 ticks below the closer sim, not hit, trigger, add that part back on. Okay, now we're going to do our best to hold for 1097.50. That's nice, 7 points on the ES. You know, it's $350 a contract.
Would you go long right now because it broke, or?
No, I went long because of the plus 100 line.
Actually, if it comes back?
Yes, because I would have taken off half.
Okay.
You know. So again, it depends on your time frame, though. If you are a 3-minute type of trader, you'd still get out of the position if your sim broke, you know, if your support broke. If you want to try to hold more, then you switch to the 15-minute sim for a break, and you start looking at the fact that we're working a good long side trigger here on the 22.5 still. We're above the plus 100 line. If it starts to pull back, we'd look to see if we get a 22.5 plus 100 line bounce. Okay? So that's what we're doing, is we're stepping up the time frames as it triggers. We have to look for the possibility of at least a temporary hold at anything that's showing up as a target, even on the 3-minute. This is where you see this? This is where we would expect to see pauses along the way. So it's up to you as an individual trader to decide in your money management, is this where you exit or you're trying for this? Okay? And that's what Van Tharp will help you do. Because the answer is going to be different for every single one of us. Not too shabby on our long sides here. This guy's still confusing me. You see 786 here. This needs a breakout in one direction or another. But you see, made the target, even surpassed it on the Aussie, broke our 786 here. On the higher time frame, we're looking for this to continue triggering long on a pullback. And why did that happen? What told us that would happen, would be most likely to happen? Dual time frame triggers. Okay? Everyone clear on that? I'm coming over here again to erase those lines, and it's over here. So let's update this. One thing you want to get in the habit of doing, by the way, what I just did, I'm continuing to do, is I'm erasing these labels that were on the chart as well, because if the support moves up, the labels are going to stay there in outer space. I asked Carlos to make the labels move up together with the levels. He can't do it, not in this version of the program anyway. It'll be there eventually. And so here we are on the way to the target there as well. Now this was the iffy trade, the GBP, because, like I said, you had to evaluate that trade based upon the initial resistance that's now broken. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you, oh, we were in this trade and it was all cool and all that, and I would have taken that just because now it's working. Initially, it was 15 pips from trigger to target, initial target, and 60-minute resistance. So what I would have had to do at that point is, is it in my plan to take a 15-minute pip potential trade? The answer probably would have been no. So I would need a pullback here and an additional trigger. This one I told you guys I was taking. Okay, and it's working out fine. So we have plenty of support for stop placement as well. All right, everyone clear on what I'm talking about? Any questions? I mean, other than the obvious, like, what the heck is he? No. We will, later on, I will be coming around and helping you individually on your computers if you want it. But I'm just wondering at the moment if you have questions about what I am doing. Bless you. I think we need a class action suit against this hotel for allergies. Okay. What's most interesting, by the way, just from a pattern perspective, what I'm finding very, very interesting is the fact that this doesn't need to correct more, the stock market. Because we had a major target, once again, as soon as we take out the prior swing high, we're talking about making daily and weekly swing highs. Okay? One thing we want to do is remember, by the way, on our weekly chart, we have an 1100 target. It's right up here, too. Doing well on this one. This is why it's all about patience. Now notice I took the two trades that I said I ordinarily wouldn't, but let's say I did. I took the two trades here earlier while I was in congestion. Lost 2 ticks, maybe made 2 ticks. Why? Because I wasn't being greedy and I wasn't being impatient. So I tried to get in. Ended up down 2 ticks. Let's say I was down 4 ticks. What difference does it make? I'm up 15 ticks already because I waited until it all lined up.
What was your entry on the ES?
The initial entry was, oh, you mean the price? Plus 100 line bounces.
Plus 100?
Yeah, see? Plus 100 line bounce. This one was a plus 100 line bounce intra-bar. The 6 was down below and popped back above. This one, perfect, plus 100 line bounces. This was the add back in or stay in. Another thing you can do, as I've mentioned, is you use the plus 100 line for trade management as well. Let's say you didn't have nice nearby symmetry to put the stop behind that. You can go to the plus 100 line. On the ES, I like the 9,000 volume plus 100 line for a shorter term trade. As long as the 100 line holds, stay in the trade. It's telling you it's going to grind upward. As soon as the plus 100 line breaks, it's saying the upside momentum has been compromised. Okay? That doesn't mean the whole trade is, again, that's if you're trading off a shorter term. So you might pull back, you might get another long side trigger. If you're trying to hold for the long haul, you have to look at the higher time frame stuff. Okay, and stick with that. I'm curious actually, this short-term trigger, the tick chart, that didn't kick off a trigger at all to this rally. That was interesting.
Would you be looking at double pumps over there?
Not really. I would look at if it started to back off from it. I have that's part of my stupid fib tricks, how to confirm a double top. Yeah, and we'll go over that after the timing. Yeah, that double top doesn't concern me that much. Of course it may happen, but I have a tight stop. I'm not going to try to short a double top unless I get my confirmation.
Yeah,
which
long, maybe if it's it has a resistance.
Yeah.
Double top.
And of all places, this would be the right place for a double top because we're dealing with a daily swing high. It's possible, but with my stop a few ticks away.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about this 1093 1618.
Where is
your stop, Mark? Right below the...
You know, again, it depends on my time. Probably for me, I would have 10.90.50. You know, because I would want a tight stop on this, and I made enough on the trade already, and I'd be looking for a re-entry. If I didn't want to keep it that tight, 10.89.50, the next symmetry, because that would coincide with a plus 100 line break on the 9,000.
You're just below that line?
Yes.
You're not at the line?
No, never at the line, because I had someone doing that in the chat room. He kept getting stopped out of trades, and I was like, why are you getting stopped out? He goes, well, I put the stop right at your symmetry. I'm like, we want it to pull back that much. You know, that represents how much it's pulled back before. So in that case, you're saying to the market, if you do the same thing over again, stop me out. No. You want a break of the symmetry.
So you're 2 ticks below, basically?
Yeah, and frankly, I would have to see, you know, exactly what my entry price, blah, 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 how much I made on this trade, to tell you whether I'd be at 10.90.50 or 10.89.50. You know, that's really up to you also. You have reason to use either one.
Okay. Vanthorpe again?
Sorry?
Vanthorpe again? Vanthorpe again? Over there, where you do stops?
Vanthorpe.
Vanthorpe, yeah, exactly, Vanthorpe. But what do you want to aim for? You see, my reasoning is a little bit different too. Let me tell you why I say I'm not sure. Because I have to see what's going on in the chat room. If 10 people ask me, how do I manage my Russell trade, and I have money in this trade, I'm going to put the stop tighter. That's my Vanthorpe thing too. No, really, I mean, that's the consideration. Same thing if you guys, you know, let's say you were sitting there doing your trade and you know that the plumber is due any minute. You're going to use a tighter stop or a looser stop. A looser stop if you're trying for that target, the higher time frame target. A tighter stop if you don't want to give anything back. Okay, so I know that if I suddenly have to start staring at the charts, you know, that's what I was telling you guys yesterday about my decision process. How much time do I put into my own trading versus how much time into the chat room? You know, I have an insane dog also. Totally nuts dog who I love more than anything on the planet, and sometimes she needs me real quick for something. And, you know, so I have to, those are my Vanthorpe considerations. Are we getting right up to that target? If we're getting right up here, I'm probably going to have the stop down now at 10.89.75. Okay, if we're messing around in here and the doorbell rings and the dog almost goes right through the window next to the door, because that's what happens, I'm going to have a tight stop.
So the written instructions and typing stops.
What's that?
The dog whisperer.
No. She is not a dog you want to deal with that alpha stuff going on there. Believe me, I've hired behaviorists for her. She's been on medication. She's been on doggy Prozac for a year. Here we go. They say she's half Greyhound and half German Shepherd, but I think she's actually a mountain cur, a bred working dog.
I had a hard time with my Australian Shepherd. I brought somebody in to help me with it.
Yeah, well, Gracie was, we got Gracie from the shelter. She was about to be, and she had been severely abused.
Yeah, mine was never separated from her mother.
Yeah.
So your 2 ticks are like your final confirmation on your trigger. I'm ready to go.
My 2 ticks. I don't understand.
Well, we talk about you.
Two tick stop to get out of the trade.
Oh, how?
A 2-tick break of the symmetry. On the ES is 2 tick. You know, I'll give you some numbers on that now. For stock index futures people, ES is 2 ticks. YM is 3.
Forex.
3 intraday charts. Okay. I did that on 3-minute charts. Now I was just speaking to a gentleman. Yeah, I was speaking to a gentleman back there who is doing 3- and 5-minute charts, and they self-identify as scalpers, and that's wonderful. You know, so I want to. You know, there is that versatility. Yeah, but try 3. You know, what you guys should do, I think, is get into running the fib work. At the very least, get into running the symmetry, the expansions, and look at it on your charts and see if you're comfortable with a 3-tick break. Sometimes someone comes to me on a security and they'll say, oh, what is going on with my connection that it says I had to reconnect? If someone disconnected my wires, no, no, but the chart is still running, so I don't think it's a problem.
Do you like this theory that institutions try to run your stocks?
No, I buy into the theory that you better really know who your broker is, because your broker will. Yeah, sure. Non-dealing desk broker is what you don't want your broker taking the other side of the trade. Make sure you're comfortable with your broker, in Forex particularly. Make sure you're comfortable. It's not regulated, you know.
Talk off air. I'm starting from the broker.
Well, I can't advise you on a...
Minutes of 10.
Sorry?
You can give minutes of 10. Minutes of 10 and then
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of people come up to me and ask me for a broker recommendation on Forex, and
which you use.
well, but I use mine because of very specific reasons that might not apply. First of all, the one I use has a relatively high opening deposit, okay? And I'm sorry?
Is it expected?
Well, the thing is, I think there are probably some wonderful Forex brokers out there, but I haven't shopped around for one in so long, and they change a lot, you know? When I was shopping around, I could have said GFT was good. I think FXCM is better, the people who give the data for the Fibonacci Trader. The other thing about Forex, you know, one of the good things about that then too is that if your data can match your broker's execution, you know, but it's nice. I think when Fibonacci Trader started carrying the FXCM data, I know I was kind of like, you know, because they didn't have a good reputation.
You went through their one.
Yeah, and now it's better, but I don't like to recommend anything that I haven't used myself, and I've never had an account with them, so I can't say. You know, one thing I didn't tell you guys, I told a couple of people privately here yesterday, but during the psychology thing, one big shock to me, when I was talking about my own evolution, one big shock to me was when I started doing classes, and I got phone calls from Forex brokers. And what they said to me, straight out, I mean, I remember I had 2 in 1 week. What they said to me was, if you will recommend your clients, your students, come to us, we're going to add this much to the spread, and you are going to get that on every trade they take. So I kind of did this to the phone. And I said, let me get this straight. You are telling me that someone who comes to me for help, I should basically make their life more difficult.
Yeah.
Please never call me again. You know? Yes, I said, please never call me again. And I told everyone I was working with at that point which brokers those were. Okay? And you know what? And those brokers I don't even see in existence anymore.
Yeah.
Okay? So you want to be very careful. And I know people in the futures industry, I'm not naming names, but I know trading educators in the futures industry who get a kickback from brokers that they were, oh, I love this broker, I use this broker, yes, he'll treat you right, he'll treat you well, commission check.
One of the largest ones in the business that does not, it's too big to go in one way or another. And I don't do, what do you call it? Work. I don't do any foreign exchange with it.
Yeah.
That is interactive broker.
That's my broker.
Yeah.
That's my broker.
They're the one that best.
That's my Forex broker.
They don't have any contracts, though.
No, they don't, but they let you scale better than, you don't have to just do standard lots. It's kind of in between. You know, which is why I went with them in the first place, because I had graduated beyond mini lots, but I wasn't comfortable enough to go to standard on Forex originally. And you can break it down like it's $25,000 increments on the GBP, so it's in between. You know, so I was comfortable with that. All right, what are we looking for, by the way, on the Canadian? On the Canadian, if we can take out the prior swing low, we'll build additional symmetry resistance. We have short side triggers on the Canadian. I don't like them. I want to see this give me a pattern. All right, so if we can take out the prior swing low, I'll have new symmetry resistance, low to high from new low, and then I'll look for a bounce and something like a minus 100 line bounce trigger. Okay, lack of pattern, I don't like these 0 line based triggers only. Still doing well on our Aussie. Doing well on this one, but like I said, I probably would not have taken it initially, so I'm still looking for a pullback. All right, you guys might have taken it, 15 pips. You know, same fib work would tell you you had 15 pips from entry to target. If that's good enough for you, congratulations, because you made a lot more than that. But the 15, you know, I would not necessarily be comfortable with only having 15 pips to the target. That's just me. That's why you have to figure out what you're comfortable with as far as targets, stops, etc. Right, here we are at the 1093, and a little pause. This might stop me out, but you see, I would take off again the interim target, take off the position that I took off before and add it back in. So if it does fail from here, and my stop is hit, at least on one of those contracts, I made every cent I could on the trade, if that target holds. Yeah?
One question. For example, consider that we missed that trade.
If we missed it.
I'm looking for a re-entry.
Right.
The last swing, if there's a correction of 38.2, when you said that it's going, if it holds there, it's
Yeah.
going to be a strong trend, and maybe aiming for the highest target.
Right.
Would you be considering to get in at that?
Oh, sure. What I would do, yeah, but I would look at the 382 and I'd look at my triggers. And my question would be, because what would happen if that pull, I have to actually put the 382 on the 15-minute chart. What would happen would be, you'd be in line for a plus 100 line bounce on the 22.5.
So it would be a good play.
Yes, because if this fails here, what I'm going to look for, failure meaning we'll break below these 100 lines, start to break SIM because of the interim target. If this pulls back, we'll be in line. I will not be shorting. Scalpers would be shorting. I would look for the plus 100 line to hold on my higher time frame trend chart. All right, and I would look for some kind of long side trigger to set up. See, if I had my stop tight right now, it was just hit. All right, but again, I had one out at, that says 1093. I always round it down anyway, so my target actually would have been 1092.75. Okay, so I would have had one off at 1092.75, meaning I made everything I could make on that. Now, if it pulls back enough, let's see where that 382 is. Yeah, what I'd be looking for is plus 100 line bounce here, and as that's setting up, I'd want to see something like a 5014 or 5034Z on these short-term guys. Shorter time frame lets me get in when the higher time frame is setting up. The fib level being there justifies looking in the first place. Okay? Yeah, let's see. Yeah, because I didn't keep up the fib work on the 15. So the 382 is here. We have some symmetry above it. This might not even retrace that much. Notice I said if this lower one breaks, that was my dog barking stop that got hit, okay? If this one breaks, we'll probably break the plus 100 line. If I was using the plus 100 line to manage, I wouldn't be out yet, and I would have had the stop at 1090.50 at this point. But I told you guys, you know, the dog is going to attack the UPS guy, so I better have the stop tighter. So assume at this point I'm out of the trade. But the good part about it is the target let me maximize what I could make on it. And the initial entry being somewhere in the realm of 1086 or so I made like 4 points. It's fine. What time is it? It's not even 11 o'clock yet, you know. So, yeah, so that's okay. And we're doing fine over here. This is a hands-off trade. This is a, can I curse? Sure. It's a minor curse. Don't dick with this trade. All right, don't mess with it. Don't micromanage it. You know, let this thing run its course. If you guys are in this, the one I couldn't get in because I didn't like the risk reward, again, partial profit at the target. Look for a pullback, look for an additional trigger to add back the partial position. All right, if you're stuck trading a 1-unit trade, you're better off just getting out and looking for a re-entry. I really should make sure this is all updated. I don't like, the fib work isn't complete there. But the one I am in, the Aussie, I want to see 93.12. Okay, I want to see 93.12. But the same idea, we're hitting, if we hit interim targets, take something off, at least tighten your stop. At least tighten your stop. Just want to see what we have here. Yeah, this swing we can add in. This would be a good one for stop placement because you see, this, you know what, the microphone's moving away from me. This impulse move upwards started back with that swing. So this would not be a bad place to have your stop right behind this 92.28 if you're trying to hold something, you know, longer term there. Okay? And you see how the patterns, I mean, it's really, once you learn to do this stuff, it's like art to me. Look at that. Corrective move target, now we're back to the upside. It's a way of actually, you know, that's geometry. And the markets follow that. Can you tell I like my work?
Yeah.
Sure.
Can you tell I want you to also to like your own work?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Because I want you guys to be, you know, finding the happiness with success with this too. With success with your trading. And you know what, frankly, if anyone in here goes, I don't like this stuff, I can't do it, I don't want to do it, I have confidence you'll find something else that you will like, you know, and it won't offend me either. The trick in trading is to find the thing you can read. And I know there's some traders here who are very successful longer term, and they're here just to get some tips, some nuggets. You know, that's great too.
Can I ask you a psychological question?
Can you ask me a question? Yeah, what is it?
Do you take scheduled time away, like even though you're doing well, you said it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'm going to take 2 weeks off just don't look at any charts?
Well, like I said, also that's why I have the chat room too, because there are times I still involved. But I do have some rules. I will not look at a chart on a Saturday. I will not look at a chart on a Saturday. I try not to on Sunday either, but I will not open a charting platform. That's my rule. I don't need to take 2 weeks off. Would drive me insane. Okay, because I will lose track of the longer term rhythms. You know, I will actually feel uncomfortable with that. Some of my folks, my chat room clients say, you haven't taken any time off. Why don't you take 2 weeks off and take a vacation? Because I know what the daily chart looks like now, and I don't want to lose that rhythm in my head. You know, one sec, please. So I found the rules that work for me. And one of those, and sometimes the client, my favorite thing from clients, by the way, my absolutely favorite thing from clients is when they all tell me on Friday afternoon, have a relaxing weekend, Mark, take time off, and then Saturday I get all the emails. Yeah, could you look at this? Could you look at that? What did you mean by this? What did you mean by that? And the thing is, I'm going to see them all live in the chat room on Monday, so I have to answer them, you know? Did you have a relaxing weekend, Mark? So anything comes in that says, look at this, and it's on a Saturday, I tell them, I will look at that on Monday morning, you'll have it. I do not, that's my break. That's my rest. And I used to feel guilty about it, now I don't. Okay?
I'm a little confused. You've got a volume chart, and
Yeah.
you also have a tick chart. Personally, I used to use some tick charts, and then I scratched that
Yeah.
and started using volume chart. Could you help me?
Yeah, the tick, I don't use the tick chart much at all. I really hardly ever use it. It's just that template is designed to work with, am I standing right in the camera? Yeah. That tick chart is designed, that template is designed to work with tick charts. It doesn't work that great with volume charts. And there are some people, again, it's one of these matters where there are people in my chat room who love that template. And if they're going to start talking about the trigger there, I want to see it. The only time I use this is, like I said, if there is a really specific a pattern, like let's say the crown. You know, let's say there's a crown coming up. And because the crown is a reversal pattern, this is a point people might actually want to hear. Because the crown is a reversal pattern, and we're in an uptrend up to that point, my indicators might still be focusing on upside. This guy's going to flip faster. So when I have a specific pattern that tells me I should be looking for a short, I want to kind of have some input from a shorter time frame. So I can get in sooner. Also, by getting in sooner, if the trade doesn't work out and it gets arrested, like in the case of that crown, gets arrested at support, at least I have some room before that's going to happen and I can be at break even. If I wait for the triggers I really like to reverse, and there's a crown, for example, if I wait for those to reverse, I'm probably going to get in right at some intervening support, you know, and so there's a beautiful pattern, and if it just jiggles around at that support, I'll get stopped out, you know. So I'd much rather, that's what it's for. 99% of the time I'm not looking at that chart.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One reason I had it up here too was to show you the multiple time frame features of the program. See, speaking of multiple time frame features, you see how well the dynamic trio has worked along here. As a matter of fact, the trade probably took off with that just flipping. Yeah, see, there was the initial trigger that I could not take because we were bouncing between the 786s. It broke the dynamic trio resistance, and since then, both higher time frame dynamic trios have been as support. Exactly.
Mark, what is the dynamic trio?
I don't know, and no one is ever going to tell you. It's a proprietary indicator in Fibonacci Trader.
But it's available to use a platform.
It's on, yeah, it's in the software, but you will not get the code. It is Robert Krause's invention. It's based on Gann's work. Trio means three. Gann is everything happens in threes. I think it's similar to looking at three price break. Okay, but we use it the other way around. Three price break, you want to break. This guy we want it to hold. But the secret here is in using two time frames and sticking it on one chart. Okay, in other words, the larger one is my 22.5 volume data. The shorter one is my 9,000 volume data. Okay, and you see what happened was when they both ended up on the same side, it said you have a clear path.
So if you mean both of them are both the EMA, you're saying?
No, both prices above both of them. Both of these are behind or below.
The number is already on the default. Whatever you get, you just use that.
Right, yeah. Some people use that for a stop instead. Don't try to think though for a second that you should just use those indicators and forget the rest of the fib work. Because the fib work is what told me also to avoid even trying this, because we had the 786 stance. Do you want to see what those look like on the Forex?
No, bad, yeah.
Okay.
What did you call that trio?
Dynamic trio. Yeah, it's under D. Yeah, so let's just take a Forex chart. Why don't we make one of these? How about our Aussie? Why don't we take this and we will go 15 minute and 75. You know what? Let me make it 15 and 45 because that's 15 times 3, okay? So first we'll change the time frames on the chart. Own period is 15. We'll make next period 45, okay? All right, chart shouldn't change in any way because we're looking only at the 15-minute data, okay? Now I'll go to indicators and we'll go hit D to scroll down to the Ds. Okay, I don't know why that started scrolling by itself. Hey. You know what? I don't think this mouse likes the projector, actually. Yeah, because it's jerking around a little bit. I think it's too many USB things happening at the same time. Yeah, there are. By the way, I'll talk about this when I'm up there. Yeah, dynamic. Well, yeah. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Well, you know what you can do is you put one. This is how I do it. Put two of them as next. Dynamic trio next, and then one of them. Yeah, here we go. One of them I'm going to open up and edit and put it on highest time frame. And I'm going to change the color so that they look a little different. Well, let's make this one like this for short side, and for long side we'll make it like, I don't know, like this, just to have it different. Okay, and the only other thing is I want to see if I like, we have 15, 45, 225 divided by 45. I'm not sure if I like that. 90. Just thinking about, well, let's see what it looks like. Yeah, that's a little too far away. So let's tighten up the highest time frame because I put one on highest time frame. So we want that to be a multiple also. 135.
The next and the own on what is it?
I put two nexts and I made one of them a highest. In other words, edit the indicator and change it to highest. Let's try this as 135. I'm just taking the 45 and multiplying. That's better. See? What you're looking for would be if they were on opposite sides, like here. It's telling you that you're just in chop, all right? You want them to be on the same side to maintain the trade, okay? That's all. Yeah, that's not bad. You can try messing with the time frames too. I mean, I just threw this on without trying to find a curve that looked good.
For EMA seems to work just fine, right?
Yeah, it does. It's just, but you know what you could do also? You could take the 34 EMA and go to a higher time frame and put another 34 on, just like I have here. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's, that's the idea on it. Do you need help with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where to put the,
Okay. Do you want me to take that off? Is it messy?
Okay, just once more, dynamic trio next.
Yeah.
And then the bottom green line is dynamic trio only.
Yeah, well.
Up to highest.
Yeah, or just do two nexts.
All right.
And make one highest. Okay. Edit one highest. Let's see what you're up to.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah, okay, so I got the two up here, and now I've got next pulled up.
Okay, so change that period to H for highest. Okay?
You just write the word highest?
Just H.
H.
Okay, and now you want to go to color
Yeah.
and choose new color. See, otherwise they're both going to be the same color. So click on that and choose a color. You can change them later, but you want it bright enough to show up against your black charts, too.
Well, maybe a lighter color.
Okay, and okay. And then also click line 2 here. Okay, and you want to change that one to a different color. Because otherwise you have two indicators that are going to have the exact same colors. Okay, and then you just exit when you're set.
This one will be, period will be.
Leave that at next. Leave that. You want one at next and one at highest for that effect. All right, so far our 1093 target is holding, by the way, so that might not have been a bad exit for now. What's that?
How close to the 100 do you come in?
Within 150.
No, for the 100 long, the 100 touch long.
It needs to be within 150. 150 or below, between 150 and 100. So that I can't read it.
Good one right now. It's 118.
Yes, fine. That's fine.
So we're going to be with a new long right now. Soon on the.
Where's your 6th period? I don't see it. Oh, there it is. I couldn't see it from
Right here, the blue one.
I don't think so. It must be the yellow one.
No, the 6th period is the yellow.
Yes. So when that crosses above 0, yeah, I couldn't see it from this angle.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
And these are the two long comes in the NAS, right?
Sorry?
This is the NAS. This is the
Yeah, okay.
NQ. So one long you get here and one long you get here, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Is that correct?
Well, I see on this time frame we have a long here. I don't see anything in here. Oh, that out of the gate, yeah. But it would depend where the support was. I don't know what that looked like at that point in
That's the
time.
one of the nests over there as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, that's yeah.
But these are the correct per your instructions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Definitely the triggers by all means. Yeah. So as was just pointed out to me, we might have a long again on the ES. It's possible. Not on my charts. What is that, a 3-minute? I'm not looking at the 3-minute. I'm looking at my volume charts. Yeah. And you see what's happening on the 3-minute is the 6 is debating.
Right.
It's going back and forth and back and forth. And we're still early in the bar.
My problem is these appeared on.
Now it just printed and we're up to the next one. Yeah. So on the 3-minute, this is triggered. On my volume charts, it's iffy. Okay, and the other thing you want to think about on this 3-minute long, by the way, if you're a short-term trader, look at where the target is. It's really close. The new target is going to be just, new target on this is going to be very close. It's going to be 1093.50. All right, so if you're a short-term trader, you might not be interested in this. If you're looking for this as confirmation to hold towards your 15-minute, it's fine. Actually, even we're getting a possible trigger here too on our tick chart for people who are into that. So it depends. Are you trading in and out on the 3-minute? You have to ask yourself, do I want to take this 1092 to 1093.50? I would round it down 1093.25. It's fine if you're a scalper. For me, it would be confirmation that I'm still working to this target.
What points do you add actually? And we know where we're taking off at 127.
Right.
Where do we at?
Where are we at? I don't understand.
In other words, let's say you start with 1 or 2 contracts at the start.
Right.
You take one off at 127.
Right.
This thing went down now. It just gave us another trigger in the 3 minutes. Would you add another contract there or?
Me, to be honest with you, I already said that I was out of the trade, so it's not a matter of adding. I mean, I'm trying to be consistent with what I would do. I would have been out of the trade now. I would be evaluating whether I wanted to take this entry altogether. If I were comfortable at this point with this trade holding to the target, then it might be an add. At least it would be a reason to stay in. You can add, certainly.
Why would you have been out of the trade when your symmetry was not broken?
My first level was.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, the tight one. I had 2 symmetry levels, and I said in this case, because I was actually running through how to manage the trade. I said it depends on what else is going on in my environment. What I would like to see. Let me just tell you what would be an ideal, better situation for me. Assuming I was out of the trade, I'd like to see more of a pullback, so that the initial targets are farther away and closer on the higher time frame to the plus 100 line, because then we'd be working another higher time frame long side trigger. Okay. If I was sitting calmly alone by myself and my dog had a gag on her or something and I didn't have a chat room and all that, I'd still be in the trade to go up there.
It's looking like a 100 bounce.
Yeah.
You cross the 6 and below, but do you have to wait till the 100 turns?
No.
50 turns up? No. Okay.
No, yeah. It actually is turning up.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark, is it possible on the volume chart that you could kind of blow up the
Sure.
see the CCI?
Yeah, actually, I want to blow it up because I want to see if I were to take this trigger, I'd have to know if we were in the first or second half of that 9,000 volume bar. So I want to blow it up. Okay? So yes, this is triggering now. It's just getting into the last third of the bar. And again, I said if you're going to take this entry, let me just make sure everyone's clear on that. If you're going to take this trade, you're not in the market before this, and you're going to take this trade, you would have to be prepared for this to not have much follow through. It may, up to the fourth floor that isn't in this hotel, but the target is here at 1093.50. Why? Because the pullback was so shallow that when we went high to low here, the extension is very close by. So what would be better, what you want to look at if you're looking for higher time frame triggers, is you want to see more of a pullback so that we could get to deeper support and set up for another higher time frame trigger, like a plus 100 line bounce on the 22.5. That would be the ideal time then to look for shorter time frame triggers to work together with it to give you more follow through. Nothing wrong with this trade, but the fib is showing you the risk reward. All right. So if you're only able to see the first target at 1093.50. You better evaluate whether your stop placement is going to be worth, are you suddenly putting yourself into a position where you need to have a 7-tick stop in order to get 3-tick profit? That's what you have to think about and work through. There was another point I had about that, and I don't remember at the moment what it was. But yeah, it's about, basically that's the idea, is you want to see the higher time frame trigger line up and then look for the shorter time frame trigger. This is what I call a shorter time frame trigger alone. Again, assuming you're not in the market at all. If you were in the market still, the hold of the sim, the continued shorter time frame triggers would be encouraging to stay in. All right. But the good thing about the fib, like I told you about the extensions, is they help you figure the risk reward factor. The risk reward factor is figured because you can see a shallow pullback is going to give you close by targets. Close by targets, you have to be prepared for it to stop there, particularly when it's only short-term triggers. This is telling you, see, this is already extended. It's not setting up exactly at the moment for a trigger. This chart is actually saying it might need more of a pullback before it can make another push to targets. So you only have a short time frame trigger. You have to look at the short time frame targets. So that's why that trade is iffy, and it depends on where you are in the trade and all that jazz. Okay? What? Yes?
Are you referring to that to take a trade in its third half of the bar? Are you monitoring the price? What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that you look at the countdown. Okay, we have a 15-minute chart. How many seconds is the...
Well, 15 times 60.
15 times 60. Do the math.
Oh, okay, turn of the time, which
Right.
is about that.
Yes. You want to get in as close to the end of the bar as possible, and I found that if you have a higher time frame trigger setting up as well, the last third is a good thing to look for. Okay? You're welcome. Okay, 5 minutes on that? Yeah. Okay, so yes, we have the triggers here, and they're acting kind of wonky on the volume chart.
6 turn around.
Yeah, it's not. Where did the 6 turn around? Yeah. It's not looking that festive, and the best thing to do here would be, again, use the 2-tick stop below the sim. And like I said, I wasn't wild about this one if it's your initial entry. If it was a matter of, do I stay in the trade or not, then yeah, definitely you're still in the trade. Because why are you still in the trade? Because we have the stop lower. Anyway, we have it at 1090.50. Remember, that was my dog bark stop. All right. So the other I took off one too many levels here. If you want a tighter stop, leave your 786 on this chart. And look, why? Because if 1091.50 breaks, we're going to see 1090.50 to 75, right? So that would hit our stop anyway. So that allows us then to move the stop up a little. Now you can put the stop at 1091. Because that would indicate that your 786 broke, which means you're going to follow through the downside. So that's how you can limit your risk reward. If you took this short-term trade, make sure you're doing your shortest term fib work as well. Because now you could take the trade, because what are you actually risking? Now you're already into the trade. You're risking a point. You're risking 4 ticks.
You watch the currency?
I was about, yeah, it looks good. Okay, so you guys who were going for initial 15 ticks did great on the GBP. Like I said, I missed this one. This one I got. This one I got great, and I'm up 60 pips. Yes, and I just was looking for, there was another hand raised. Yes.
I don't see in the entries here when the 50 is already above 0, and like for instance the 6 and the 14 come after rather than leading it.
Right, well actually, well, it just hasn't happened yet today.
No, I'm talking about this morning. It's here.
Okay, well again, I can't see.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Good for you. You see that? The 50 is already above 0.
Yeah, so that's a 5034Z long.
This one right here?
Yes, that's a 5034Z long. Yep, the second trigger. One page back for the longs. Yep,
Thank you very
you're welcome. I did my best to cover what I could in there, but
I just, the
no.
concepts I'm
Oh no, I wasn't asking. I wasn't saying you should have seen it in the workbook. I'm just happy.
Go look through them, but they're still new.
I'm happy it was there though. Did you have a question? Was I, or you just you wanted me to get out of the way? Yeah. Just say, hey, Dave, get out of the way. Oh, Brian, yeah. So let's see if we have to update anything on this currency stuff. And you know, if you currency folks think I'm ignoring it too much, tell me. You know, and